Sweet guys, so introduce yourselves.
Sweet. All right. I'm Keisha, and yeah, I've been part of the metal scene, I think, for like 11, maybe 12 years now. And yeah, I make videos.
Nice. I'm Ian or Itsjouska on socials, and I've been in around the metal scene. I would also say yeah, around 12-ish years back when I was in bands, and now I'm just doing the social media thing, influencing and all that.
Sweet, and then I obviously am Marcel. I'm also been involved in the music scene for around about the same amount of time, actually, around about 10, 13 years or so, somewhere in between that range, and been in like metal bands, been in other bands, and then just creating content with Sludge and trying to shed more light on the South African music scene in general. So that's been cool. You guys have like very different approaches to like creating content and addressing the scene, though. I think all three of us actually have like
Yeah.
Mm.
completely different methods. Like one of the things that you do that's really cool, Ian, is the highlighting. Like you do these TikToks and these reels of like three bands that you think are underrated and that people should check out, and those do really well. Like, what was sort of the motivation behind that?
It was just basically finding these bands when I go to local shows and all that. I was just like, I've never seen, you know, something like this on social media. I like basically took inspiration from a platform like you guys remember MK on DSTV and shit. Like they like promoted a lot of alternative bands, and I feel like the scene was just kind of missing that. I was like, why not try and just shine a light on these bands and artists, see how it does? And luckily, the community has responded really well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then like you, Keisha, how did you like start getting involved in your sort of method of like creation and like addressing bands, and what made you get into it?
I think for me, it's kind of a similar story. I would go to shows and find really cool bands, and no one knew about them. And it frustrated me so much, especially like when you are trying to find out more about a band and you go online and you look for something, but you can't find anything. Like that was really frustrating for me. So I thought I would start doing things and so that bands could at least have something to their name on YouTube if they didn't, or if someone was looking for a cool band, then I was there to show them something cool to look at. So yeah, it was mainly because of that, and it just I spent so much time around new bands as well that really didn't have anything, and yeah, so I just wanted to contribute in the way that I could, and then I started doing events and stuff as well to just tie on to that, finding new bands sort of thing, and then yeah, I'm here today now.
The same with us, like with Sludge, is that there was a gap. There was no one was really talking about South African music as a whole. Like not even just in terms of like metal or heavier music. No one was really talking about South African music, and you'd get people who would be like, "I love music," and then would know absolutely nothing about South African artists, and you would introduce
Yeah,
them to it, and they'd be like, "Wow, this is sick! How did I not know that this was a thing?" And that's because there is like no media about it. I mean, I put up a post on Facebook today asking like, why do you think there aren't any like local music content creators? Is it because there's no like instant gratification? It's a very niche type of thing, and you're not going to suddenly blow up and have like an instant following. And I don't know
mm,
what your guys' thoughts on that is as well.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think most people that get into social media or that get into content creation specifically, um, they they look for something that can make them go viral, and highlighting unknown bands is not a sure way to go viral at all. Like that's just you basically in your small little community shining a light on these bands. But I think the more people do it, like the more light gets shone on these bands, and then eventually there will be interest, and there has been interest.
yeah, it's definitely a very difficult thing to um, to just try and do, because it's so niche that nobody really knows the bands. And so, like, for example, I'll upload an interview, and it's absolutely soul crushing to um, put your heart and soul into something, and then it like gets 200 views or 300 views, and you're like, okay, well, I'm literally doing this for a handful of people every time. So it's not like I mean, if you think about it, 300 people is a lot of people, but in terms of the metrics of social media, it doesn't seem like a lot. And yeah, so I think it's not a very rewarding process in the same way most content creation is. It's kind of, you got to do it because you love doing it, and if it something happens with it, then great. But chances are very slim. Like, I've seen so many good interview channels that get under 100 views on a regular basis, and the fact that they're still going is just like, that they love what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. Like and the soul crushing thing of like, oh, this got like 50 to 200 views. Like you're dealing in that range, but I genuinely think like just keeping on is that like every now and then someone will come to you and be like, hey, I discovered this because of you. I
Yeah.
discovered this band or I discovered this artist because of you, and that in itself can be extremely rewarding.
Yeah, for me personally, that is the biggest gratification I get from this, is people coming up to me and telling me like, dude, I really didn't know we had all this crazy local talent. You've introduced me to so many new bands, so many new artists, and that that fuels me to just keep doing it, because like I've been in this scene for so long. I love music so much. It just makes me feel so good to know that like I'm kind of contributing to people like really getting into the scene.
Like I gotta ask, like some of the like other content that you make, or what's the inspiration behind the rage, the Afrikaans rage? Uh, those things they kill me every time one of them comes
It's
up.
so cool.
Dude, that was just like this random, like the first one that I did was that like guy playing golf, and he just throws his club and goes like, yes ass hot. Like, I've known about that clip for the longest time, and I was just like, he really belts in that in that rage, and I was like, if you add some metal to that, it could be cool. And like that video just did so incredibly well, like way more views and stuff than I expected. I was like, okay, well, I can find some more, like there's a lot of Afrikaans people raging, so like, and yeah, now that series is kind of still going strong.
Because like with Afrikaans, like when you're angry, it's the chest. You can't be
Yeah,
calmly frustrated in Afrikaans. It's why like a lot of even English people switch to Afrikaans when they're angry. I know I'm one of them.
yeah, yeah,
So
that's why people swear in Afrikaans, and like even
yeah,
English people, they swear in Afrikaans.
and then like so I've been predominantly like involved in the Durban scene. Keisha, at the moment you're predominantly involved in the Cape Town scene, and you've also been involved in the Joburg scene predominantly, Joburg
Yeah.
slash Pretoria side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it's really interesting to like see that we've at least got those sort of three major cities, that we can like
Mhm.
talk about those different kind of perspectives there. Like, who would you guys
Mhm.
say like are your favorite like new bands coming out of like each sort of province?
It's hard to narrow it down. But I think from Cape Town, the talent really made a big splash on my radar when they came out. It was huge. Loved the song they put out. Um, Pretoria Joburg side. Let me think. New kind of bands. So No Closure, phenomenal. I mean, they are gonna be killing everything pretty soon, because that band, like, if you guys haven't seen them live, oh my goodness, do yourself a favor. Like, and not just that, just the content they're putting out, the songs they're putting out. Huge shout out to them. They are killing it. Um, I mean, Middle Grounds is still kind of new, and they're my boys. I've supported them from day one, so always got to give them a shout. Sunken State's not really that new, but they've kind of made like almost like a resurgence, and they're also obviously winning back and just killing it with the music they're putting out. I only recently found out that like self-produced, and like to be self-produced with that kind of quality, insane, and that sets them up for an absolutely fantastic future, I think. Yeah, I could shout out more, but like I want
It would go on
to.
forever.
Otherwise, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep rambling about bands now.
I think the new band aspect of it makes it a bit difficult. Um, but there are so many bands and really good quality bands that we have in the scene at the moment. I think in Cape Town, I love watching Doom Trigger. They are so much fun to see live, and they're pretty new as well, a COVID band. Um, I know in Durban, Your Cynical Sanity isn't a new band, but they are really cool, and I haven't seen them live yet. So I'm waiting for that day. And then in Joburg, I agree with you, Ian. I think No Closure is going to make some waves.
So, for some reason from this point forward, Ian's video is just gone due to reasons that are far beyond my understanding. From this point forward, please enjoy this absolutely juicy image of Ian. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Like for me, it would be like looking at like Durban bands. There is a like this punk band called Scrubs that's coming out of Durban, and they are just like the absolute embodiment of punk. And a bunch of young lads, like they're about 18. I think their drummer is still in high school, and they just bring like an unbelievable energy. I can't wait to see them start playing shows across the country, because they definitely took Durban by storm. And then there's obviously Poster Boy that's coming out as well. I would say that like one of the things that Poster Boy is doing is they're definitely becoming like a gateway band. Like a lot of kids and like a lot of youngsters are getting involved in the music scene because of them and because of how they're marketing themselves. So what you'll do is you'll go to a show of theirs and you'll see new faces, which is rare because, like, let's be honest, the two of us, the three of us, if we go to a show, we're going to see the same fucking faces. We know everyone there. And if you see like one
Yeah.
or two new faces, you're like, who are you? Okay. But when you go to one of their shows, like, you suddenly feel old because like the average age is just like, anywhere from like 18, even like from 16 to 25. And you're like, shit, these guys are definitely bringing in a completely new market. So they're definitely one to look out for as well. And I definitely think they're going to be doing good things to getting more people involved in the scene.
Yeah, I want to send a personal message to them. Poster Boy, get songs out, bros. Like, get songs out, get a music video out. I've been hearing the most amazing things about this band. I just need them to like be present online. Like, I know it's hard. I know, like, studio time and all that's not free, but like you got so much hype up like behind your name. You need to get into the studio. You need to get stuff out there. Like with all that hype, capitalize on it.
100%. Simon, you heard the man. Do it.
While we're shouting out like more punky bands, like I said, you have to stop me because I can go on and on. But like Le Focolordi, oh my goodness, Le Focolordi is amazing, amazing. They have the most potential. They like the songs that they write are just so fucking relatable. Like it's such like we in our little circle we call them like this weird like punky System of a Down of South Africa. They're like so weird and cool and fresh, like great representation of like something that's authentically South African. Like you can't find a band that sounds like Le Focolordi anywhere in the world. So huge shout out to them. Like rock bands as well, killing it in Pretoria. Crash in the Void. They are like, have you guys seen Crash in the Void's music videos? Like all self-produced, all self-made. They're really, really grinding, really killing it. So shout out to those bands as well.
I got to meet the guys from Oh God when they came to play for Sonnage Let There Be Prague, and they're really cool. I actually watched your interview prior to go watching the show because I've been following them for like years. I think I made a video like covering the 1 year that they won a SAMA, and I was like, I got to meet Danny and have like a nice chat with him as well. And dude, they were so fucking good live. It was actually unfucking believable. That is definitely a good one.
Yeah, they're so good, and Sonaj is such a great venue for them to actually perform because the sound is so good there. It suits them, and yeah, so it's cool that they got to play a show there.
If I'm not mistaken, like you got like this like collection of like merch and like band paraphernalia. Like every time I look, you've got like a new post of like it's like a new like a record or a new like a merch like band tee or something. And it's
Yeah.
always like I'm always so jealous, dude, of like your collection.
You shouldn't be. My pocket is suffering a little bit, so I've had to put a stop on it. But yeah, I love band merch, and my boyfriend Andrew is equally as obsessed with merch, and the two of us together are just not good. I mean, it's good, but yeah, we're enablers. And when Caligula's horse came down, we got the hoodie, we got both got shirts. We already had vinyls. We printed out a canvas of the event poster and got the band to sign it. Like we just are fangirls.
That's so sick though. Like I'm so jealous because I was like looking at all the stuff when I watched them in Joburg and I was like, oh, I want that. And like the designs for their merch are so sick. Like you know, you can look at a couple of bands. Like some local bands are doing like really cool stuff with their merch.
Dream
Is that
Demon.
Dream Demon? Oh, that is so sick, dude.
Oh, that's cool.
How cool.
That's so
How
cool.
cool.
That's so fucking
Yeah,
sick.
example of cool local merch.
Bands like that, like Sunken State as well, like some of their merch stuff is also really cool. You know, like I don't want to like sort of hate on like band local band merch, but some of it is unfortunately really boring. It is just like a band name, and like I can't remember who it was who said it, but you got to like have your merch sort of geared towards like someone who would see that and be like, I'm buying that because it's a sick shirt, not just because I like
Yeah,
the band. Someone who doesn't know anything about the band should be looking at it and being like, "That's sick.
yeah,
I would wear that." And like
100%.
that's probably some of the best advice for merch I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Pay designers to make a good shirt for you.
I mean, Fallen Prophets did a run of shirts where it's just the logo, but like kind of on the pocket, and it's like a small kind of logo. And I really liked that because it was minimalistic, and they do have they've had other designs before in the past, but that was just, it was simple and it was just the logo, but it was cool because you can kind of just wear that shirt anywhere, not like some of my Vulvadinia merch, which are like impaled people so yeah, that is it can be cool to just have the logo.
Yeah, quick shout out to Doom Trigger as well because their logo is just so fucking cool that like just slapping that on a shirt is enough to be just like I mean I love my Doom Trigger shirt. That's just like one of the coolest things in my closet. Like we also spoke about at the Vakken Metal that like we were looking at all the band like names, all the band logos, and we were deciding we were basically like judging like which band has like the best logo, and like it was pretty much unanimously people said Doom Trigger. Like Doom Trigger just pops. Like that logo just pops.
And like one of the things that I've also been like seeing a lot lately, I've been watching a lot of videos about is like the upcoming of like generative AI and AI music and stuff like that. And I'm actually really curious about like what both of your thoughts are regarding it and sort of the implications surrounding it.
So I'm not anti AI at all. Like I think you can work with AI to make really cool stuff, but I don't think it can be a supplement for what you actually need. That's why like I threw in the little like you need to pay your designers because like you can tell when something is just purely AI generated and it just feels cheap, it just feels lazy, it feels like a cop out, you know. You can see the effort a band puts into their designs and like there's no way AI is doing that. But on the
Mm.
other hand, to bring up Crash in the Void again, one of their music videos, I think it's for Shadow Fiend, that is like partly AI. So they shot a
Yeah.
music video. I actually helped them with it. They shot a music video where like the band is playing and all that, but then they also utilized AI video generation to generate like these shadowy figures in cutscenes in between and all that. So that's a cool way I think you can actually implement AI into your creative process and not like not demean it or make it like yeah like you can use AI to your advantage and still be really creative with it, I think.
Yeah, it's a tool. It's not. It shouldn't be, like you said. It's not something that you should be using from the ground up. It's something that you can use as a tool to add something, but not to create it from scratch. And like it's really
Exactly.
cool because I interviewed Crash on the Void, and Marius actually explained his process behind it. Really cool. It was complicated as fuck. Like I remember
Mhm.
the way he explained it to me. It wasn't a case of just prompt and then he got it. He had to sift through like thousands of different scenes that it had generated and find the most sort of coherent ones and sort of stitch them together. And the cool thing is, like in that case, is that it had the desired effect. It was unnatural, it was uncanny, and it perfectly
Yeah,
captured what they were trying to do with that song and what they were like the whole premise behind that song. So that's a good example of it being used right, I would say.
exactly. And they didn't cheap out and not go shoot a music video. Like they did that as
Mm,
well, but just used AI, like you said, as a tool.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with that. I I think for me, everything I've tried to use AI for is mostly it doesn't come out really well. So when I try and say like lately I've been trying to use ChatGPT to help me generate titles um, for my YouTube videos. See if there's maybe a better way for me to encapsulate the idea. And a lot of it's just so disconnected from what I'm actually trying to say. And it's, if I had to use any of those, it wouldn't really work. So I don't particularly trust AI to do anything besides rewrite my emails.
It is great with that.
Yeah.
I think like the biggest like scare factor regarding it is just how quickly it's evolving versus how slow regulations are being put in place. It's becoming capable of too much too quickly versus how slow governments and things are able to put policies and procedures into place saying, hey, this is kind of shady, hey, this is legal. And people are obviously will take advantage of that. If there's something that can be taken advantage of, people are obviously going to take advantage of it. And it's scary because like I've seen a couple of creators talking about, there's these YouTube or these Spotify playlists where like you'll go to this curated playlist and virtually everything sounds identical. And is this a case of, hey, is Spotify just really good at discerning songs that sound similar, or were these all AI generated with the same sort of prompts in mind? And that's something that's deeply like concerning for a lot of people at the moment. Because who's that money going to? Who is the creative rights to that? How does this affect me? Is my content being used to train AI models? Like, is my music being used to train AI models? Like, those are a lot of the big concerns regarding it at this point.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like Spotify in and of itself is a big problem in terms of like how lax they are with regulation on who gets to upload on the platform, who like they are literal streaming farms that they like, as a factory that just buys like 3,000 phones and they just like listen to the same song over and over again, and then whoever is in charge of the streaming farm gets the money for the streams. Like there has to be more regulation. Like you said, the regulation needs to speed up and catch up with AI, because I've also heard some AI generated music, and like obviously it's not good yet, but emphasis
But
on
it's
yet.
scary.
Like,
Yeah, it's scary how
yeah,
close it's getting. Like, it's
yeah.
I saw this video where people were trying to like discern between AI generated and real music, like AI vocals. And
Mm,
like there was a scary amount of people who were like, holy shit, I can't tell the difference. I actually could
yeah.
not. I would not have thought that was an AI generated voice. And weirdly enough, like you were talking about with Spotify and the stream farming, um, I've seen a couple of stories. They do actually ban people from the platform for that if you get caught. So every now and then they will ban like an account or whatever. But I've seen it happen to an artist, a genuine artist, whose music was added to a playlist that was being bot farmed, that was being stream farmed, and he got banned. His whole account, he can't do anything on Spotify anymore because someone added his song to a playlist and they banned him for that. And that's crazy. That's completely wild. And as far as I'm aware, like I haven't seen any updates. So as far as I'm aware, it's still the case. Like he is still completely banned from ever using Spotify as a platform to share his music, which is crazy. Like that's catching a stray on like a whole other level.
Yeah, that's the most unlucky thing like I could ever imagine. Like you're just a honest like artist trying to do your thing, trying to get noticed, and you get picked up by this fucking like scam streaming farm, and you just pay the ultimate price of never being able to upload to Spotify again. That's nuts.
Could you imagine the roller coaster though of being like, holy shit, my song's blowing up, and then boom, I'm banned, and then trying to figure out what the fuck happened? Like,
Yeah,
I would be devastated. Like, I'd be like,
yeah.
holy shit, I'm gonna make $100, and then suddenly I can't use the platform ever again. So that would be absolutely devastating to me.
It's so sad
And
that if you go viral on Spotify, you're like, yes, like $50. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy that like the amount Spotify actually pays. It's bad. It's bad. It's tough being an artist out there today,
dude,
that's why like
Yeah.
I feel for these guys.
even like as a creator, like I think I made $50 on TikTok once, and I was like, I'm fucking balling takeaways.
How did you even do that? I've like just on lives and stuff.
Yeah, just on lives. I got bombed by Zoid of all people. Got a whole bunch of gifts and thought I was getting trolled, and then I went and looked at the account. I was like, holy fuck, it's actually Zoid. And that was one of the more confusing moments of my life.
I have a quick story about Zoid actually.
Go for it.
Where she randomly called me one day, and like it was an unknown number, and I was sitting next to my wife, and I was like, yo, true caller this number quick, because like I don't answer numbers that I don't know generally. And she true called it, and it's like it literally says Zoid. I was like, okay. I answer the phone. She's like, hey, this is Zoid. I'm like, holy shit, like why are you calling me? Like what is happening right now? And she was just like saying like, yeah, I just really love the content that you've been putting out, like, you know, huge shout out to that. I'm playing this festival in Pretoria, do you want to come by, maybe chat, maybe we make some content or something? I was like, yeah, that's awesome, like, yo, like that's awesome.
Yeah, like, yeah, 100%.
And then randomly, so she sent the tickets, and we got there, watched the show. I was like kind of in front, not really, like off to the side, front-ish. And randomly in the middle of the set, she just like points me out in the crowd and says like, hey, this guy's on social media, he makes like metal stuff. Let's get him on stage to play something metal. I was like, excuse me, fucking what?
The fuck?
Like, I haven't prepared anything. Like, I go up on stage, she gives me the guitar, she's like, don't worry, it's in drop D. I'm like, okay. And I just start playing a random like lick just out of my head. I had nothing prepared, like I said.
I would have shut down completely, dude.
Yeah, and the band just joined in behind me because they're professionals. And yeah, she just like just randomly brought me on stage, and I performed in front of like, I don't know, 5,000 people randomly one night.
That's so fucking wild, dude. That's so funny though. Like, I like the worst part of all for me, like, is my username on TikTok at the time when she joined and did this was Poor Life Choices was my username. And I think the description was, kitten, please, I need to eat. It was some dumb shit. I was playing random fucking music. Like, I don't know what I was playing at the time. And it's like, wow, I definitely made an impression the worst possible way. But glad it worked out. I'm so glad. Like, it's so funny that that there's stories about Zoid like this. That's so fucking funny.
She's just amazing. Like, we hung out for an hour or two after the show. She's like the coolest person you could ever possibly imagine. Like the best human you could possibly imagine. She's awesome, and what she does for the scene is just amazing. Like, I love Zoid.
Keisha, do you have a Zoid story?
Well, this one time.
Holy shit, that would have been wild.
No. Unfortunately, I can't contribute to that. Maybe one day, maybe my car and Zoid moment is coming.
Hopefully, everyone. Apparently, we all us musicians and musician creators need that one experience with Carl and Zoid. It's like a rite
Yeah,
of
that's when
passage,
you've met.
apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think like the wildest moment for me was Warren from Plug Music Agency reaching out and being like, "Hey, bro, do you want to interview Enter Shikari?" And they come over for Ramfest, and I was like, "What? Come again?" And then it's one of the most stressful conversations I've ever had in my life. But such a cool dude, so fucking down to earth, and just such a genuine human being. Like most of the big bands that I've actually had the opportunity to speak to, like The Ocean, Caligula's Horse, and Enter Shikari, those big international bands, like the coolest dudes, most down to earth guys. I mean, obviously they're used to this by now, but damn, that was
That's what I wanted to ask because, like, I think with my local interviews, bands get really nervous, but it must be completely different with a band that regularly does this type of thing.
yeah, I definitely think like that experience. But like, and like you, I think you said earlier, is there aren't really many people doing interviews. There aren't, like, if you go online and you search for an interview with a band, like it's you're not really going to find much content. You're going to find the occasional, like, we have that equivalent of balcony TV. What was it called?
Yes.
It's I can't remember the name, but they did this stuff on the rooftops. I
Mm.
can't remember what the channel was called exactly, but that was really cool. And they would do like an interview and then a live set. And but you know
Mm,
that
that was
you
awesome.
yeah, that was really cool. But you wouldn't find that for every band. You can't
Mm.
really find any media of those bands, and that's a big part of what we're doing as well, is to archive that. Like there is an
Yeah.
entire history here that is just being undocumented. There are
Mm.
so many bands that we've interviewed. We're on episode like 300 and something, nearly 400, and some of the bands that we've interviewed are gone. Like they no longer exist, but there's a history of
Mhm.
them. There's like something that at least shows that they were here, and I'm quite proud of that fact, to be honest.
Yeah. What I do hate about that though is that a lot of my earlier stuff, the quality wasn't so great. So now those bands don't exist anymore, and I can't update with what I know now. And I have a microphone now, and things are different. So there's just some shitty little video sitting on the internet, and it's one of the only interviews that exist of this band. Like, I did a Red Helen one. I love Red Helen so much, and now they don't exist, and I can't update that video. And yeah, so I mean, it isn't a bad thing, but I wish I could turn back time.
Like hindsight, everything in hindsight is like that. I mean, like when we started Sludge, we started in the back seat of a car with an iPhone between us, and that we were just
That's
like, "Fuck it,
awesome.
YOLO. Let's like we want to do
Yeah,
something. Let's do what we can with what we got." And that's been like the
yeah,
entire like fucking operation of this whole thing is whatever we get our hands on, add it to the process, and let's see if we can make it work. And
yeah,
like you can see that clear evolution of how we've grown through it. But
yeah,
the fact of the matter is that that content is still there. I mean, if you look at it, you go back. If I go look at your old content, I still think it's awesome. Like it's cool to see how far you come, but you were doing something at the time that no one else was doing, and that is
yeah,
still great. So like if you're comparing it to where you are now, you're literally fighting yourself, bro. Like no one else was doing what you were literally the best at the time because no one else was fucking doing it. So
thanks.
if that if that makes sense, like, like
Yeah, well, I'm not too hard on myself because it was a certain time, and I've learned because of those things. I've learned certain things, and I take that with me, and I've become better because I did videos back in the day. So I don't hate it so much, but just that thing of I can't ever redo this because Red Helen doesn't exist anymore, or like I can't just go back in time and give myself a microphone, and it's really expensive trying to get the best quality things. But yeah, that's why I think the journey took so long. And now that I have a microphone, it's quite frustrating watching videos with no microphone. um, yeah, so just silly things like that as a almost want to be perfectionist. It kind of grates me watching my old videos, and I wish they were better. But yeah, I'm really happy they exist, and I'm glad I got to spend time with the bands that I did.
One thing like I can kick myself for is that I wish we started visual content sooner. Like that for me is the biggest thing. Is that I wish I got like I think me personally was the one who held us back a lot, saying, "Oh, I don't think we're like we can make it look good. I don't think we can," and which goes completely against how we've operated this whole thing. And I genuinely wish we started visual content sooner. But we're here now. We're doing it. Fuck it.
Yes,
Let's go. We
yes.
move. We get older. We we evolve.
We learn.
And
We live and
yeah.
we learn.
Do you have regrets, Ian? Do you wish you did a certain type of content? Do you like?
Oh, dude, yeah, I was about to say like any like creator would look back on their old content, or even like artists will look back on their old music and be like cringe themselves to death for it. But
Literally.
like I think that is all on the individual. I don't think like people going back at content is gonna be like, oh wow, like they used to be so bad, so I'm not gonna like watch their stuff anymore. Like so that's not the case, like so
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's a purely like kind of imposter syndrome individual like thing that you
Yeah.
just have to go through as a creator, as an artist.
Your
Have to
own
deal with
worst
it.
critic is
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
100%.
I low-key want to talk to you about your interview with Jim. Like, yeah, that was really cool. I was so jealous. I wish I could have spoken to him like that. Yeah, I feel like for me, I do better when it's like actually a band that I like. Like, I've done a lot of things, just for the sake of the fact, like, okay, this is a band and they need promotion. And then because people ask you to do a video, you do a video. And when there's a lot of pressure and expectations when you start doing things just for the sake of doing them. So I would personally rather just do the things that I'm really interested in. And Jim was one of them. But yeah, I think when it comes to that kind of interviews, all the international ones are really interesting because they have a lot of experience and a lot of things to talk about, essentially. So, I mean, yeah, I'll definitely look into it.
I can act as a medium for you. I'll just be like, I'll message you and be like, hey, dude,
Yeah.
do you like this band? And if you're like,
I
yes,
mean,
just sweet. Yo, Warren, hook, like, Warren, do a thing. But that's completely understandable. There's nothing wrong with that.
Being in the scene for such a long time and being one of the only people who did anything, there was a lot of expectation and things that were put on me, and it eventually made me not enjoy what I was doing. And that's why I've had such an up and down relationship with my YouTube channel. And I've come to the point where I'm like, yes, I understand you want a video, but I can only do what I can do at this point. I will try and work it in, but I can't make any promises. I can't keep everyone in the scene happy.
Why wasn't Mind Assault on your list, Keisha?
Right? Right? I've never seen Mind Assault live. This, like, I can't have an opinion. Leave me alone.
Dude.
Oh yeah, that I got attacked in that video.
Oh, it's to be expected.
Anyway.
yeah, I feel the same with all these artists like reaching out, getting into my DMs, like, please feature me on the list, and then it's like, bro, you don't have music out, so I don't know like what I'm supposed
What the fuck do you
to
want me to
actually
do? Like,
Yeah. Like check out my page, and then it's like a
fuck all. There's nothing
Instagram page
going on.
with no post. Like what's like, like
Do you have a band photo for me? No. A band photo? A little clip? A video? A song? Nothing.
I've interviewed bands where I've genuinely had to dig like through the trenches to find anything about them, dude. Like, there's nothing. And I'm like, how am I supposed to have a conversation? I can't find anything about you anywhere.
That's why interviewing South African bands is also much more difficult. Like I've mentally prepped for international interviews, and there's just like a treasure trove of information, and so much um, to draw from. Whereas when you're interviewing a local band, you have their Facebook page, their Instagram, and maybe there's a couple videos on YouTube if you're lucky. Um, and I mean, I feel like we live in a digital age. Even if you're using your phone, iPhones are pretty damn good these days. Like, do something, take a photo, take a band. Like, if you do something cool, you play a cool show, take a photo.
Yeah, please. If there's one
Something.
PSA that comes from this entire conversation, bands, artists, please put content out there. Like, please, for the love of God, record something even on your phone. Like, we need
Yeah,
to know what you sound like. We need to know who you are. It's so easy to just post content. I mean, it's not, but like,
no,
still,
Yeah,
but
like, it's easy to just do
something.
something. Yeah.
There is such a thing as low effort content, and it is exactly what you're saying. Fire up your phone if it's just a recording of your practice, if it's a recording of you just talking about something that happened, talking about a gig, just anything, your thoughts on a certain type of music, just something. Like, not everything has to be the highest budget or quality for us to have an idea of who the fuck you are, please.
Yeah. And also, it's literally never in the history of the world been easier to actually record your song yourself on some free open source software. You get Reaper, you get, like, I'm sure there's a bunch more out there right now. Like, you can literally record yourself. You can shoot your own music video on an iPhone, like Keisha said. Like, it's just go out there and do it. Even if it's not your best thing that you can do at the moment because you don't have the budget, we need something.
Like, there's been bands that have blown up from like an artist and record. You guys have both seen on TikTok. Like, Keisha, you have some kind of understanding of how music works. Like, you've been part of the scene long enough to know like when something sounds good and why it sounds good. And obviously, we've both been musicians for like the longest fucking time. And how many times have you seen something that is the lowest effort, the lowest like sort of quality, and you can hear that this person isn't particularly great at what they're doing and doesn't have the best gear, but it blows up. And next thing you know, this person's got a following of millions. Just try, just do something. You'll never get lucky if you don't give yourself as many opportunities to be lucky as possible.
But I mean, like, even just basic things, like, so many people always ask me, like, how do I know when the next event is and stuff? And then I would go to a band's page and they're playing soon. They haven't posted the event poster. You know, just like, you don't have to have top tier quality for everything, but, you know, just having something or keeping people up to date with what's happening is very important. And things like you can do small little things as you go on to just make it a little bit better each time. Like, buy a 200 Rand light and then record your event promos with this 200 Rand light, you know, or things like that. If you pay attention to it, it can really help you, and small, cheap solutions are available.
Sash has been losing her shit lately about exactly what you're saying. At this point, where can people find you? Like, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me. Plug yourselves. Where can people find your content? And yeah,
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram mainly. It's at Itsjouska, Itsjouska. Yeah, I try to upload as often as I can. At this point, it's about once a week, maybe twice a week if I'm feeling creative. So yeah, you can find me under that tag. It's Itsjouska.
I'm on everything, Keisha Toit, and yeah, recently my YouTube channel changed from Keish Kush to my full name. So yeah, that's where the things I'm proud of sit, on YouTube. So go look for me there.
fantastic, guys. Like, thank you so much for actually taking the time and having a chat with me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. Uh, we should do this again sometime.